Thunder Activities Department. Welcome to a new and exciting year at Osseo Fairchild. I'm Activities Director Andy Jepson. Viewing this code video is part of the athletic registration process. Later in this presentation, there will be a code provided to enter into your online registration form to verify that you've watched this presentation. If you have any questions after viewing this video, please contact the Activities Department for clarification. Contact information for the activities staff is included at the end of this presentation. Because athletes are students first, our programs are guided by the educational philosophy of the Osseo Fairchild High School, with the ultimate goal of preparing our student athletes to be respectful, responsible adults. Involvement in extracurricular activities provides an opportunity for students to learn and practice skills that will be helpful throughout life. Teamwork, sportsmanship, fair play, and a positive attitude are only part of an extensive list of attributes that can be learned through participation in extracurricular and co-curricular activities. Being a part of Osseo Fairchild activities comes with a number of responsibilities for the student, coach, and parents. First and foremost, involvement in activities is a privilege. You are a student first, and as an athlete or member of another activity at our school, it is your responsibility to be a role model for other students in the community. Remember that you are held to a higher standard than other students because of your activity status. When you complete your online registration, you will need to sign that you agree with the responsibilities of the activities code and be sure that you can meet those expectations before you sign. Coaches, remember that you are coaches first, even if you are not in a classroom, even if you are not a classroom teacher. Model the expectations that you would like to see from those in your program and be knowledgeable of the expectations in this activity code, as well as current best practices for your sport or activity. Code expectations must be enforced equitably, regardless of the impact that enforcement may have on your team. Parents, you're the most important role models in your children's lives, so your role in developing successful adults is vital. Support the coaches and other staff and respect their decisions and the effort that they put into developing quality programs for your children. Assist in enforcing the activities code to help provide a quality environment for all. With the increase in poor sportsmanship across activities, the WIA has chosen sportsmanship as a point of emphasis. Athletes, coaches, and officials all deserve respect. Those participating in unsportsmanlike behavior will be removed from events and may be prohibited from attendance in the future. While athletic seasons come to an end, athletic preparation is year-long. All athletes are encouraged to attend workouts in the fitness center during their off-season months. New this year, the WIA has approved unlimited coaching contact for parts of the summer. Coaches can schedule activities and meet with their athletes for the entire month of June and from July 7th to the 31st. Contact is still not permitted in August prior to the start of regular season practices. Student athletes, please show respect for your sport by starting each season physically and mentally prepared. Another new provision from the WIA is the ability for student athletes to benefit from their name, image, and likeness. You may have heard of this, and it's referred to NIL. If you are approached by a business with an NIL deal or would like to learn more about NIL, please contact the activities office for further clarification. In order to participate in extracurricular activities, you must be a full-time student. Students who participate in the alternative education program must successfully complete 6 weeks in the program before becoming athletically eligible. High school student athletes' grades will be monitored at mid-trimester and end of trimester. Athletes who are failing a class at mid-trimester will be ineligible to compete until they are once again passing all of their classes. During an academic suspension, students must continue to practice with the team, but may not suit up for the competition or travel with the team to a competition if the bus leaves before the end of the school day. If the student is still failing classes after a week of suspension, they are also ineligible from practice until once again achieving passing grades. Any athlete failing a class at the end of a trimester will receive a 15 school day suspension from competition starting immediately after grades have been posted for the trimester. Practice and competition restrictions are the same as those with mid-trimester failing grades. If students are not passing after 15 school days, they will be ineligible from all forms of participation until all grades are at a passing level. Practice and competition restrictions for failing classes at the end of the trimester are the same as those with mid-trimester failing grades. If a student fails a class and is not currently in a sport, the suspension will start at the beginning of the next sport season in which the student participates. For those failing a class at the end of the school year, the academic suspension will take place during the fall athletic season and will be for 1/4 of the maximum allowed competitions, including scrimmages. Middle school students will also be subject to the mid-trimester and end of trimester grade checks. Those failing classes will be ineligible until once again passing all of their classes. A middle school student who receives a behavior referral resulting in either an in-school or out-of-school suspension will miss a minimum of one competition. Students failing one or more classes at mid-trimester will become ineligible for competition until they're again passing all of their classes. The suspension will start immediately after grades are checked at midterm, and the student can compete once again when all passing classes. Students still failing after 1 week will be ineligible to practice, compete, or travel with the team until once again passing all classes. Fall eligibility will be based on third trimester grades. Middle school students failing one or more classes at the end of a trimester will be ineligible from competition for a minimum of 1 week starting immediately after grades are posted. If the student is not passing all classes at the end of 1 week, they will be unable to practice, compete, or travel with the team until passing all classes. Students must be in attendance at school for the entire day to be eligible to practice, compete, or perform that day, unless they have one of the excused absences listed on this slide. Written verification from a medical provider of the appointment is required for all appointments. An out-of-school suspension will include any practice, performance, or competition that occurs that day. High school students who receive an out-of-school suspension will be considered in violation of the Code of Conduct. Attendance at practices is mandatory with consequences for missing a practice at the discretion of the coach or advisor. Consequences for missing a performance or competition will also be at the discretion of the coach or advisor. All students involved in activities at our district are expected to exhibit conduct which reflects the ideals, principles, and standards of the Osseo Fairchild School District. Any behaviors that may be classified as conduct unbecoming may be considered a violation of the Activities Code. Violations of the Activities Code of Conduct include, but are not limited to, the following: receiving an out-of-school suspension, possession and or use of any tobacco, alcohol, or performance-enhancing substance, and participating in any illegal activity. Students must leave immediately if they find themselves in a setting where alcohol or illegal drugs are present. Students may be present at a bar or party with alcohol in the presence of a parent or guardian, but parents' presence does not allow students to violate the prohibition from usage of alcohol or illegal drugs. Additional code of conduct violations include receiving a truancy notice, conduct contrary to the standards of the school district or WIA, using a cell phone or other device to take photos or record video in a bathroom or locker room, or participating in hazing or initiation ceremonies. Any student found in violation of the code of conduct will be subject to the consequences of those violations. The penalty for the first violation is suspension from competition for 25% of the current season's scheduled contests, or the next season if a student is not currently involved in a sport or other activity. The penalty will carry over to the next season if needed. Self-referral will reduce the penalty to 10% of the season and may only be used for a first violation. The penalty for a second violation is 50% of the sports season. If the violation is alcohol and or drug related, the student must undergo an AODA assessment at their own expense and be required to provide the athletic director with written certification of compliance with recommendations prior to any reinstatement of participation in competition. A third violation will result in a 1 calendar year suspension from all activities, and an athlete receiving a fourth violation will be suspended from participation in school-sponsored activities for the remainder of their time at Osseo Fairchild schools. During suspension for a code violation, students are required to continue practicing with the team and finish the season in good standing as determined by their respective coaches. They must also admit their violation to their coaches or advisors, ask to come back to the team, and re-sign the code of conduct in presence of their coach or advisor. Please note that the WIA penalty for training violations occurring in WIA tournaments is disqualification for the entire tournament series in that event. Co-curricular activities include any school-sponsored activity that is not under the direction of the WIA or other sport governing body. Students involved in both athletics and other activities who are found in violation of the code of conduct must meet the requirements of the athletic suspension. This will also count as a fulfillment of the requirements for the activity suspension. Those involved in co-curricular activities who are also not in athletics will receive the following consequences for code of conduct violations. For the first offense, the student will perform 10 hours of community service or miss 25% of the scheduled contests. A second offense will result in 15 additional hours of community service or a 50% suspension from contests. Those receiving a third offense will be required to perform 20 hours of community service. Community service is defined as work done by a person for the benefit of the community without receiving payment for work performed. Community service must be done with or for organizations that have a nonprofit status. The principal or dean of students must approve the plan prior to performing the service hours. Code of conduct violations are cumulative throughout the career of the student, but will reset between middle school and high school. Coaches and advisors may establish additional conduct rules for their sport or activity. A coach or advisor may suspend a student from the activity if the student is considered a demoralizing influence or detriment to the objective of the activity. If a request is initiated by the coach or advisor, approval by the activities director and principal will be necessary for the suspension if an in-season cut is to occur. Various forms of evidence may be used in determining a code violation. Violations may be reported by law enforcement, teaching or coaching staff, parents, students, or members of the community. Students are encouraged to self-report violations. Evidence from photos, websites, or other tech devices may be used, as well as a completed witness complaint form can be used. Reports of violations must occur within 120 days of the violation unless referred by the judicial system or social services. Upon receiving a report of a violation, the principal or activities director will investigate as soon as possible. If a student has been found to have violated the activities code, the student and parent will be notified, and consequences will start immediately. Consequences will continue to be enforced during any appeals process. Students have a right to due process in challenging a code of conduct violation. The due process policy is laid out on this slide and in the 25-26 code book. The complete code book can be found on the Osseo Fairchild School District webpage under the District Activities tab. Athletes must have registration completed a minimum of 1 week prior to the first day of practice in order to compete. Our registration process is online and can be found on the school website. There will be a link to all of the necessary information at the end of this presentation. Athletes must have a physical every 2 years in order to remain eligible for competition. A physical form must be signed by the athlete's physician and include clearance for participation in athletics. If you need assistance with registration, please contact Janet Wood in the athletics office or attend one of our in-person athletic registration open houses. In fairness to fellow members and coaches or advisors, members of performance organizations are expected to remain in their activities for the season once they join. If they quit, they will not be allowed to join a different performance organization that season. Some exceptions may apply and will be determined on a case-by-case basis. The school attempts to provide the students of Osseo Fairchild with the best and safest equipment money can buy. So it is expected that each student will take excellent care of all equipment. The original equipment issued to any student must be returned at the end of the activity. The student will be held financially responsible for any lost, misplaced, or damaged equipment, and they will be ineligible from further participation in all activities until all equipment is returned or paid for. The school provides transportation to all competitions, and students are expected to ride to and from activities with the team. Students may ride to an event with a parent or guardian only if there is a written request prior to the event. Parents or guardians who wish to have someone other than themselves transport their child home from a competition must complete a transportation waiver of liability form. The waiver must contain both the parent or guardian and driver's signatures and be turned into the high school office to be signed by a school administration member before the form becomes valid. For this reason, the form must be completed and turned in a minimum of 4 hours before the team leaves for an event. Drivers must be at least 21 years of age, and there is a link to the waiver on this page of the presentation. So, watching this activities code video is a requirement of the athletic registration process. Upon being prompted in the online registration form, please use the validation code OFSD activities as proof of completing this requirement. Remember that registration must be completed at least a week prior before practice for the activity starts. For your information, these are the start dates for the high school athletics throughout the school year. These are the start dates for middle school athletic seasons. Note that football, volleyball, and basketball are not available to students until 7th grade. The rest of our middle school sports are available to all middle school students. The links on this page will help you with online registration and staying up to date with our schedules. Feel free to contact the activities office if you need additional information. The online registration process can be confusing, especially for first-time users. In-person open house assistance will be available once a week during July and August for anyone who needs assistance with the process. Be sure to bring a hard copy of your child's physical form, as this needs to be uploaded into the registration form. If these times do not work for you, please contact Janet Wood for further assistance. The staff in our activities department are here here to serve you and ensure that the students at our district have quality extracurricular and co-curricular programs. Do not hesitate to reach out to us at any time with questions or concerns. So thank you for participating in Osseo Fairchild activities. We hope that the 25-26 school year is one filled with hard work, student success, and lasting memories. Go Thunder and enjoy your summer.